Some people don't break your heart. They break your illusion, and that hurts even more. Have you ever fallen for the idea of someone only to be shattered by a moment so small it almost slipped past you? Sometimes what exposes the truth about a person isn't what they say or how they look, but what leaks out when they think no one's watching. A glance, a sigh, a shift in tone when speaking to someone they believe doesn't matter. There she was, elegant, articulate, magnetic. But in the silence between the pleasantries, in that one fleeting second where the waiter got the order wrong, something cracked. Not in the dish, in her mask. Because true character doesn't reveal itself in the spotlight. It slips through the cracks in how we treat those who can offer us nothing, in how we react when things don't go our way, in what we choose when no one will ever know. And once you begin to see it, you can't unsee it. This is not a story about her. It's a story about us, about what we miss, about how often we trust what shines and ignore what whispers. Stay with me until the end, because these moments that seem so ordinary may just teach you everything you need to know about who you let into your heart. If you're enjoying this journey into the quiet truth beneath appearances, don't forget to subscribe. This space is for those who want to see deeper and be seen more honestly too. The first mirror, how someone treats those they don't need to impress. Picture a refined dining room. Cloth napkins folded with care. Soft light pouring through the windows. Quiet laughter weaving between clunking glasses. And at the center of it all, her. Elegant, magnetic. The kind of woman who seems designed to captivate. And she was captivating until the waiter arrived. He carried a timid smile and the wrong plate. And for just a second, the air shifted. Her smile cracked. Just a hint of contempt. Her voice, once sweet, sharpened ever so slightly. It was subtle, almost invisible. But if you know how to watch, you'll see it. Because the first mirror that shows you who someone truly is how they treat the ones they don't need. The ones who can't elevate them. The ones with no status, no stage, no spotlight. And then it hits you. The kindness she offered before wasn't really about others. It was about her. About being seen, being admired, being adored. And suddenly, a quiet conflict starts to bloom. How many times have we been drawn to that shine? How many times have we mistaken charm for character, charisma for kindness? It's not easy to admit, but the truth is, we've all been there, clapping for someone who, in silence, kicked down the pillars of decency. And maybe the hardest part, how many times have we failed the powerless test? That sarcastic comment to a tired barista? That burst of impatience with someone slower than us? Were they just brief flashes of something deeper we didn't want to face? The first mirror doesn't lie, and it doesn't show up when we're on stage. It appears in the narrow hallway of the everyday. When no one's watching, when there's no benefit in being good. And what it reflects is raw. It's who we are when there's nothing left to gain. It's who we choose to be when no one is keeping score. But what hurts the most is realizing we can spend years beside someone and only meet their true self when they feel above others. And so the question echoes, how many of our connections were born from illusion, only to die in the reflection of a quiet moment? What if real love isn't born from charm, but from who remains kind, even when no one's looking? Now take a breath, because we're about to go deeper. If this mirror shows us the absence of empathy, the next one reveals the presence of shadow. The kind that explodes when things don't go as planned. And it always comes, no matter how perfect someone seems. In the next moment, we'll see how frustration doesn't just expose, it erupts. The anger that leaks, what frustration lets slip through. Anger doesn't arrive dressed in red. It seeps in like a crack in the glass, invisible at first, until the pressure makes it shatter. She was still beautiful, still composed, but something in her posture had shifted. The waiter apologized. Once, then again. Her gaze stiffened, her lips pressed into a thin, tight line. And then came the sigh. Not loud, but sharp enough to cut the air between them. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The silence did the work. That's the thing about frustration. It doesn't simply test your patience. It melts the surface. It shows what was real and what was rehearsed. And you begin to wonder, who are we when things go wrong? When the traffic won't move? When the line is endless? When life, for once, refuses to bend in our favor? Do you become someone you promised never to be? Or do you watch someone you love slowly unravel over something so small? Frustration doesn't destroy character. It reveals it. It cracks open the shell of control and politeness, and it lets the hidden voice come out. There's something sacred about that space. It holds the truth, because anyone can be gentle when the world obeys. But who are they when it doesn't? Who are you when the waiting gets too long? When someone disappoints you? When life whispers no? Do you slam the door in your mind, or do you stay open, even when it hurts? Frustration is not your enemy. It is a mirror, but a louder one that exposes how tightly we try to hold everything together. Others, time, expectations, and maybe that's the deepest wound. Not the spilled drink, not the wrong order, but the illusion that we're in control at all. If this mirror unsettles you, let it. Because only what is ready to be healed rises to the surface. But this isn't the end. There is still one more reflection to face. And this one doesn't come in the fire of anger or the clash of power. It comes in the quiet, in the moment no one is watching, when no one will ever know what you chose, and still you choose. When no one is watching, the choice without witness, there's a silence that feels heavier than noise. It lives in empty rooms and passing moments. The kind of silence that follows you when the door closes, when the eyes are gone, when applause is no longer a possibility. She stood at the counter, alone. The clerk had undercharged her. No cameras, no audience, just a choice. And in that fragile space, something ancient awakens. The soul leans forward, because this is where integrity lives, not in speeches or promises, but in the quiet space between impulse and decision. What do you do when no one will ever find out? When kindness offers no reward? When honesty goes unseen? When doing the right thing means walking away without praise, without proof, without validation? This is the most invisible mirror of all, and perhaps the most honest, because in this space, you're not playing to anyone else's script. There's no performance, no fear of judgment, only the raw truth of who you are when your ego isn't being watched. Will you leave the cart in the middle of the parking lot or return it where it belongs? Will you send the message you promised or disappear when it's inconvenient? Will you speak gently even when there's no one there to call you gentle? Sometimes, the smallest decisions carry the weight of your entire soul, and they shape you, not loudly, but deeply, like water carving stone. It's easy to be generous when eyes are watching, but what kind of love do you give in the shadows? What kind of person are you when no story will be told about it? These are the unseen threads that weave your character, and they matter. even when the world says they don't. Because the universe listens in the silence. It watches when no one else is looking. And what you do in secret echoes. It's in those moments that something profound is built. A quiet strength, a sacred alignment, not with appearance, but with truth. So ask yourself, when the world forgets to notice you, do you still choose light? But this isn't just about how we see others. It's also about how we see ourselves. Because we don't just watch others fail these tests, we fail them too. And maybe the deepest transformation begins, not in judgment, but in compassion. For the mirror we avoid most is the one we carry inside. And that's exactly where we go next. The 3 doors of character. What you also reveal. There is a hallway inside each of us. Silent, dimly lit, lined with 3 closed doors. We pass by them every day. Some of us never stop to open even one. But life does. Life pushes us toward them when we least expect it. The first door opens when you have power. The second, when you face frustration. The third, when no one is watching. And the one thing they all have in common is you. You, raw and unfiltered. You, beyond image. You, without the armor. It's easy to look at others and judge what's revealed. To point to the woman in the restaurant, the man in traffic, the friend who vanishes when things get inconvenient. But what about you? What do you do when someone can't offer you anything? When the barista gets it wrong? When no one claps, no one thanks you, and no one will ever know? There's a quiet ache that comes from realizing we failed these tests ourselves. Moments we spoke too sharply, moments we looked away when someone needed us, moments we pretended not to see just because seeing would make us feel. And maybe that's where transformation begins, not in the perfection of how we treat others, but in the tenderness of how we begin to notice ourselves. This isn't about guilt. This isn't about shame. It's about awareness. About breathing deeply into the cracks and saying, yes, I did that, but I see it now. Because character isn't a destination, it's a rhythm. It's the slow dance between your highest self and your human shadow. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is pause, look inward, and tell the truth. These 3 doors were never meant to judge you. They were built to reveal you, to invite you home, to remind you that every moment, every test is a chance to return, to act again, to choose differently. And what happens when we begin to walk through those doors with our eyes open? When we stop performing and start practicing presence? When we stop pointing fingers and start opening hearts? The answer lives in what we plant next, in the gestures no one sees, the words we offer freely, the silence we hold with grace. Because what you do in the small spaces, what you give when you don't have to, that's the root of your becoming. And in the next breath, we go there, into the quiet soil, where invisible seeds of goodness are waiting to grow, planting light in silence. Small acts, vast roots. There are seeds that never get seen. They fall into the soil quietly, without ceremony, no spotlight, no audience, just earth and time and trust. You've probably done this before without realizing it. Held a door open for someone who didn't say thank you. Picked up something that wasn't yours. Chose kindness when it would have been easier to be cold. No one clapped, no one noticed, but something shifted in the air and deep within you. Because goodness, the kind that matters, doesn't live in grand gestures. It grows underground, invisible to the world, but unmistakably alive. And yet, we hesitate. What's the point of being gentle, generous, or just when no one sees it? That's the quiet war, isn't it? The ache of being soft in a world that rewards sharpness. The weariness of giving when it feels like no one gives back. The question that echoes in your chest, am I foolish for caring this much? But perhaps the deepest truth is this: every silent act of kindness roots you into who you truly are. It's not about whether the world notices. It's about whether your soul does. You don't water a plant expecting it to grow in front of your eyes. You trust, you wait, you keep showing up. And that's what these small acts are. They are devotions to your values, to your becoming, to the world you want to live in, even if you never get to see it bloom. So plant the compliment, offer the patience, return what was lost. Smile when no one is looking, because the universe is not blind. And your energy, your intention, leaves fingerprints on the unseen. Even the stars don't shine for themselves. They burn quietly, endlessly, without needing applause. So ask yourself, what kind of light do you want to plant today? What invisible roots are you willing to grow, knowing you may never get credit, but you'll always feel the alignment? And just when you begin to trust the silence, something deeper awakens. Because there is a force, call it grace, karma, or divine justice, that responds to what no one else sees. And that force is listening. In the next breath, we'll enter that space, where your silent goodness meets the echo of something greater, where what you've given in the dark finally returns. The voice the world can't hear, but the universe always answers. There are whispers you've released that no one ever responded to. Prayers spoken into pillows, tears dropped into silence, kindness offered into voids that never echoed back. And still, something heard you. Not the world. The world is often too loud, too distracted, too transactional. But the universe, the soft intelligence that weaves through every unseen thread, it listens with a different kind of ear. Because not all energy returns through applause. Some returns as peace, some as protection, some as a door that opens just when you are about to give up. You may think your small acts, your silent integrity go unnoticed, but they don't. They create waves in places you cannot see. They alter timelines you'll never trace. They shift the future in ways your present could never imagine. Still, doubt comes. There are days when you feel invisible, when doing the right thing feels lonely, when softness feels like weakness, when silence feels like surrender. And in those moments, the question slips in. What if it's all for nothing? But what if it's not? What if your soul has been leaving markers, like stars in a constellation, guiding something greater to find you? The woman who held her kindness when no one else was kind. The man who stayed patient when the world rushed past. The child who forgave without ever hearing "I'm sorry." These are not small things. They are cosmic signatures. They are the reasons the right moment finds you. The reason something tells you to turn left instead of right. The reason help arrives at the edge of your breaking point. Because the universe doesn't operate on applause. It operates on alignment. And when your actions echo truth, even in the dark, life remembers. So ask yourself, what if that one gesture you thought meant nothing was the reason something beautiful is quietly making its way to you? And what if the love you gave away without ever seeing it return is already on its way back in a form you've never seen before? There is a justice far more sacred than human logic. It speaks through synchronicity, through timing that doesn't make sense, through healing you didn't expect. But before it arrives, there's one more thing you must face, because the return can only land in hands that are open. And for that, you must let go of the weight you've carried. The masks, the resentment, the need to be seen. Only then will the light you planted be ready to rise. In the end, you are what you do in the dark. There's a moment just before dawn. The sky is still heavy, the world hasn't stirred, and in that hush, before light breaks open the horizon, the truth breathes the loudest. Because this is where the real story is told. Not in what people say about you, not in what you post or perform, but in what you choose when no one is watching, when no one is asking, when no one will ever know. This is the place the world forgets, but the soul never does. Do you often pick up the thing that wasn't yours to drop? Do you forgive the one who never asked? Do you return the kindness that wasn't given to you? Or do you retreat, close your fists, tell yourself it's not your job to be the good one? That voice exists in all of us. The tired one, the wounded one, the one that's been unseen for too long. But here in the dark, you meet something else. You meet the quiet you, the honest you, the you that doesn't need credit but deeply craves peace. And peace, the kind that stays, only visits those who've made a home for it in their choices. So, if you ever wonder who you are, don't look at your brightest moments. Look at what you do when it's hard, when no one claps, when the world forgets to notice you, because that's the space where your soul takes shape. You are not your mistakes, not your image, not even your potential. You are your pattern, your rhythm, your small decisions made again and again in the dark. That's what carves your name into the unseen. That's what tells the universe, this is who I am. So let this be your quiet revolution. Not louder, just truer. Choose grace again. Choose truth again. Choose the kind of goodness that doesn't need a witness, only your own becoming. And if this spoke to something you've been holding in silence, you're not alone. This space was created for hearts like yours, for those who love quietly and live deeply and give without needing to be seen. So if this touched something sacred in you, subscribe. Stay with us. There's more to explore, more to heal, more to remember. And if you feel called, write it in the comments. Your vow, your truth. Say it softly. Say it boldly. Say it just for you. I choose to be who I am, even when no one is looking. And when you're ready, meet us in the next story. It's already waiting for you, just beyond the noise, just beneath the surface, right where your soul knows the way.